After touching some grass, I'm back to Anhua for some much needed Hei Cha. Hey everyone, this is Nannuoshan, I'm Sigi, and I'm here today after trying a bunch of pretty fresh and green oolongs the last time to have something that is a bit more in my wheelhouse. Today I bring you the Lao Shu Tian from 2016, an Anhua Hei Cha, some dark fermented tea. This is the kind of thing I am more familiar with. I tend to enjoy these kind of teas. I haven't had this one before. What's interesting about Tianjin in particular is that it's usually sold in these large baskets of tea. I think this one in particular is sold in a 500 gram basket, but at least as far as I know, there are ones of different sizes as well. Probably some rather large ones too. Here's the leaves. I've got my water prepared. I just boiled it right before starting this video. I've got 6 grams of tea here, so without any further ado, I'm just going to pour this in. First steep shouldn't take too long. This is not a pressed tea, as you could see. These are all just loose fermented leaves. And the first thing I am noticing is an interesting smell. I haven't even really smelled the leaves yet or anything, but just from pouring water onto them, I am getting something that's in the direction of incense, maybe a little bit of smoke, something in that vein. Okay. I will leave this in here for just a little bit longer. I need to be careful with my cups. Now, what is there to say about this tea? It's from 2016. It's from a producer called Huang Xiaofeng, a smaller producer of this kind of fermented tea, as far as I know. From what I've heard, they rely on pretty traditional methods. They operate on a smaller scale, and they tend to put quality first, which is always nice, of course. And that is what we are putting to the test today, isn't it? Let's see if their promise of high-quality fermented tea can hold up. Let's give this a smell. The leaves are definitely giving me that kind of smell I got just now. I think it's more like incense here because it's kind of fuller and more complex. When I was smelling the air earlier, I only really got the smoky part of it, but now it's definitely more in the direction of incense, maybe a bit resinous too. And there definitely is some kind of sweetness to it. I'm not quite sure what it is yet, but yeah, this definitely has kind of a sense of familiarity. Alright, I'm gonna pour in the second steep right away. We did already smell the tea, get some impressions there, so we should be ready to start tasting it soon as well. One thing I always appreciate about Hei Cha is that it tends to not be particularly fussy when it comes to steep times. As you, my dear viewers, might know, I'm somebody who does like to let his steeps sit for a little bit longer, and that is exactly, I think, what we are going to do here today. I'm in no rush to pour this out. Basically, once I think it looks good, I'm going to decant. And I don't expect to get punished for it in any way, which is nice. Alright. I think this looks pretty close to ready. I am going to pour in the second steep now. As you can see, this tea has a lovely color. Honestly, still relatively light for what one would expect from other fermented tea, like a Shupur, for example, or a Liu Bao, would be much darker than this. So the fermentation on this is probably fairly mild in comparison. This one is also 10 years old now, so we do need to consider age. And age certainly has an effect on a tea's color. Yeah, it smells pretty nice. Let's see what it tastes like. Cheers. Mm-hmm. Mmm. There is more of that sweetness I got, for sure. All of the other aspects I described are also there. Like, this doesn't just smell, it also kind of tastes like incense. It is sort of resinous in a way, like that tree sap sort of feeling. Mm. And it's surprisingly sweet. I didn't expect it to be like that. I still can't quite pinpoint what the sweetness is, but it's definitely there, and it has a pretty strong effect. Wow. I'm honestly kind of surprised by this. I didn't expect it to be this good. Um, mm. Yeah, this, on top of just being nice, this is also quite easy to drink, which is always quite pleasant. Like, I've definitely had teas that I've enjoyed, quite like complex, demanding teas that were also a little bit difficult to drink. I'm sure lots of you have also experienced that before, but this one honestly goes down really well. Like, just from that alone, I could already see this being a great tea to just have, yeah, as kind of a daily drinker of sorts. One you'd go for multiple times a week. Maybe a sort of nice default if you can't figure out what else you'd want to have. Yeah, fascinating. I'm quite surprised. I'm just gonna pour in the next steep already, because I'm pretty sure we are gonna be able to finish 3 steeps in this video. It really is quite easy drinking in a sense, and it makes me want to drink more too. Another nice part about fermented teas in general, and this in particular, is that there is just zero astringency to this tea. So this kind of sweetness, the sort of fullness it has in your mouth, all of that stays with you, and it doesn't get cut through by any sort of dryness on your tongue or on your lips or anywhere else in your mouth. Yeah, it just leaves you with a very like pleasant aftertaste and pleasant feeling. Of course, as with any fermented tea, this does have like a hint of earthiness to it, but it doesn't taste like muddy, dirty, or unclean or anything like that. It just is that little bit of earthiness that complements everything else quite nicely, and it it fits. Yeah, it's good. I think it being there does make the tea better. Mm, yeah, honestly, really nice. All right, pouring in steep number 3 now. Let's take another quick look here. Still smells really good too. Here, if you want to take a look, these are the wet leaves of the Lao Shu Tian 2016. Lao Shu standing for old tree in this particular case, so this one might be made with a bit of older tea material. It honestly would kind of make sense just going by the taste. There is some complexity to this, and it is something very pleasant and kind of grounded in a way. And from my experience, I do find that tea made from younger tea plants overall does not really tend to have that. Like, they tend to be a bit more aggressive sometimes in certain ways, like maybe higher peaks but also lower lows, that kind of thing. Whereas something like this is perhaps a bit more balanced and rounded, and but it certainly also has complexity. Honestly, really good tea. I feel like there's not much else for me to say. Oh, if you haven't yet, I made another video on Anhua Hei Cha a couple of years ago, where I sort of described the different basic types and which teas fit into those types. So if you are unsure about how this kind of tea is made, how it's classified, or what to expect from it, I suggest you give that video a watch as well. And if you have any prior experiences with Anhua Hei Cha, then please let me know down in the comments if, like, what kind of experiences you've had, whether you like this kind of tea, which specific ones you've had before, or maybe even which ones you are interested in trying. And of course, while you're here, if you haven't yet, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the Nannuoshan channel, you know, all of that kind of stuff. It helps us out. It keeps the videos coming every week on Fridays. We love making them. I hope you all love watching them. It's always fun. Like, on the one hand, I enjoy making videos about stuff I'm already familiar with, where I can maybe provide a bit of knowledge and information to you, my viewers. On the other hand, I think it's also fun to try teas you're less familiar with from time to time, kind of going out of your own comfort zone. The videos I've made for the channel have definitely more been on that side of things lately, with the Taiwanese GABA, with the two green Taiwanese oolongs I did, and now this kind of tea. While it is more in the direction of what I drink, it's not like exactly that. At least I didn't expect it to be. For example, I like aged Changpur. I like Yancha, high roasted Yancha, also aged Yancha. This, I'm not the biggest fan of, for example, Shupur or Liu Bao. Those are maybe a bit too heavily fermented for me. But this is not. I expected this to be more fermented than it is, because the leaves are also quite dark, right? But it does not taste like a strongly fermented tea. Like, as I said, there is that little hint of earthiness that's quite nice in this case. There is plenty of sweetness, maybe almost sugary sweetness. It's just such a kind of clean sweetness, it's hard to describe any other way. And then there is incense, resin, maybe a tiny hint of smoke, all of that kind of stuff, like very sort of pleasant aromas, fragrances that I definitely enjoy also in the types of tea that I usually like to drink. So this gets remarkably close to that. Wow. Yeah, and then if you couple that with fermented teas usually also being quite kind of pleasant for the stomach in my experience, at least ones that are like aged and or fermented properly. I think this really makes for a very pleasant tea that you could drink quite frequently. As I said before, multiple times a week. I can totally see it with this. So if you've been looking for a tea that you can have regularly, if you need that kind of foundation in your tea journey, then consider looking into this one, because you might honestly not have to look much further. I think this would be perfect for that purpose. I enjoyed it a lot. I might get some of it for myself as well, because, yeah, it really is perfect for that purpose. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about this tea, and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.